A lot of joy in that song. That's one of my favorite songs. And as a matter of fact, I asked just before we started what we were going to sing today. And when Sylvia said that one to me, I chuckled because I said that's the one that was running through my head all week as I was preparing for this lesson. And she said she kept trying to look for other songs and they just weren't right. And she just kept coming back to this one. So we were connected as always without speaking. It just shows that we are connected even though we don't realize it. And so it's just kind of fun. It's always kind of fun to come in on Sunday morning and when I'm speaking and see what it is I'm going to hear for that day. So we're speaking about joy today, and this is the first Sunday of the month that we're going to be speaking about joy, and so I get to start it off this month. Usually the other Marilyn gets to start it off, but it's me this time. So as I was thinking about it, I thought, well, what is joy? I mean, we use the word joy, and what I am really becoming more and more aware of, that we have words in our language that we use, and we assume that it means the same thing to everyone. And we each really have our own perception, our own interpretation of what that word means. So I thought we'd look at some of the ideas around joy and some of the teachings that Unity has around joy today. So the dictionary says joy is a feeling of great happiness. And I think that's what we mostly think of when we think of joy. We think of being happy and maybe having fun and joyful music, all those things we think of when we think of joy. But what is the difference between joy and happiness? Because there is a depth to joy that there is not necessarily to happiness. Joy transcends. It can transcend everything if we allow it to. It's a spiritual principle like love and faith. It comes from within, not without in. Not from without in, comes from within out. Happiness reacts. We react to a happy song. We react to hearing children at play, if we like that sounds, or little girls giggling in the back seat of the car, or whatever sounds we like, we react to those. They bring us happiness. But joy is a practice and a behavior. So that's a little different. It's deliberate and intentional. Happiness comes and goes along its way. But joy is the fruit of spirit, and happiness is not. Happiness depends on external factors. Favorite jokes, receive a gift, we grin. We get a job that we like, or a brand new car, or happiness sort of is about what's happening to us. But even though we may seek it, desire, and pursue it, feeling happy is not a choice we make. We look for it, but it's not a choice we make. Joy, on the other hand, is a choice we make. Even if our day is filled with hurt and disappointment, we can still choose joy because it's a depth. It comes from the depth that is spirit within us. Joy can share space with other emotions like sadness, fear, and anger, but happiness can't. We can be sad but still have joy deep down. Happiness isn't present in darkness and difficulty, but joy can be. When we choose joy, there is hope. Joy says, no matter what tomorrow brings, I have hope. Or when we choose to say, things will work out, they always do. Pierre Chardin says that joy is the infallible sign of the presence of God. So joy is the sign of the presence of God. And I didn't know who he was. I had to look him up. He's a French philosopher, priest, and mystic, known for his theory that humanity is evolving mentally and socially toward a final spiritual unity, blending science and Christianity. And that's an idea that I've held for some time, actually ever since the beginning of COVID. I felt like humanity is in the beginning of a transformation into I hate to use the word higher, but a better spiritual. We're joining science and Christianity together. They were together centuries ago and they split, and so we're bringing them back. It's coming back together now because science is proving what the metaphysicians have been teaching for years. It's more and more it's happening. So what does unity teach? What does unity teach about joy? Well, Unity Life Centers are rooted in the Unity movement, and we teach that joy is an inherent part of our spiritual nature, a quality of our being as expressions of God. We do teach that each one of us is an expression of God, and joy is part of that. We emphasize that joy is always present, regardless of external circumstances, an integral part of our nature as expressions of the divine. It's not just the result of favorable circumstances, but can be cultivated and experienced even in challenging times. And I can remember the first time that someone said to me that I was not in a good time. I was having some issues, and someone said to me, "Now you understand what the fullness of joy is." And I didn't quite get it, but what it was I knew that what I was going through was challenging and hard and difficult, but I also knew that I would come out on the other end feeling stronger. Joy can bring strength, feeling stronger, and also being able to move forward in my next step. So one of the sort of lost my place a minute here. The shortest verse in the Bible is John 11:35, and the verse is, Jesus wept. And the reason that we look at this now is that the story tells us that when the master arrived too late to heal his beloved friend Lazarus, he saw the tears on the faces of the other people that he loved that were there and loved this man. And he responded in the most human way. He wept. He cried too. We sometimes think that we must transcend our human experience to find God. But I think that really we reveal God by being fully human. Ernest Holmes once wrote, "Humanity is divinely revealed we're divinely revealed through our humanity." So it's not something that we pass away. It's something that is within us, and it's revealed when we experience all our emotions. There's a story of this is an example of a Unity minister that moved from the city to the country. And when she moved there, right after she moved there was a drought, and there was two female deer and their fawns that were on their property. So when this drought came, she and her husband started supplying them with water and a few carrots. And they got to the point where they kept a bowl of carrots on the porch so that when the deer came for the water, that they would feed them the carrots. They would throw them a few carrots. And the one mother deer kept coming closer and closer as she was coming for these carrots. And finally, one day, as she was getting ready to throw the carrots, she caught eyes with the mother deer, and the mother deer walked up and took the carrot out of her hand. That was pure joy. Wow, connecting with nature in that way was just pure joy. And even though they no longer feed the deer, they've moved on, that feeling still can bring up in her mind that feeling of joy. And I would like you to just take a minute and think, when have you experienced that kind of joy? I think maybe each and every one of us has experienced that in some way. The sound of a loved one's voice, the sound of a baby cooing, sounds of birds, just any way that you've connected with joy, and maybe it's an incident in your life that you connected with joy. It's still there. It's still within you, and it can still help you rise above the situation, whatever it may be. So when we are maturing in our spiritual life, we realize that joy and happy experiences is a deeper thing than just the result of happy circumstances. Okay. So what about the power of joy? Well, mature joy, the mature view of joy, is that it is a byproduct of serving others and sharing our good. It could be the sense of a job well done. But it's even more than this. It's not a result of anything, of good deeds, of doing work well, or anything else. Joy is not a result, it's a cause. It can happen to us, but we can always make it happen and make other things happen because of it. Now, what does this mean? If we can bring forth joy within ourselves, even in these trying times, because sometimes it just doesn't feel like we have joy. Sometimes it's just really hard to reach. But if we can bring that forth and let our joy shine like love or light or whatever, it starts to raise our vibration. There we're bringing the science into reality. We know that we're all vibrations. Actually, we're not these solid bodies. We're a vibration. And when we're giving forth that vibration of joy, it connects with others, and then they can raise their vibration of joy. It's a spiritual principle that we can lay hold of and use. We can use it all the time, whether the outer conditions are favorable or not. And they're not what we wish. If they're not what we wish, we can do more to bring them up. It's a good influence in any situation, and there are many ways we can express joy. With positive thoughts, pleasant words, a smile, using our sense of humor. We can use the law of increase. We call it the law of increase, in that whatever we focus on increases. So if we begin focusing on joy, our joy is going to increase, and it's also going to increase in our world. The joy of the Lord is your strength, Nehemiah said, because joy in our inward being irresistibly calls forth joy in the outer world. We can't wait for circumstances to bring us joy. We must make our own joy and let it act upon circumstances. And I have a personal example of that in my life. Many years ago, I was working at a job that I didn't really care too much for. In the beginning, I liked it, but as the years wore on, and I was there 13 years, and that's the longest I ever worked in one place, which, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but that's the story of my life. And, when I would get up in the morning, I wasn't looking forward to going to work, and as I was driving there, I wasn't looking forward to it, and when I'd be there, I'd see everything that was wrong with it, and I just wasn't my favorite place. And I started thinking about it, and I had started learning some of these principles, and so I started trying to apply them. And I came to the conclusion, and I don't remember exactly how I got to it, but let's just say I was using these principles of changing how I was thinking about things, because I knew that my thoughts were productive in my life, and came to the realization that even though I thought that I was trapped and had to stay there for the income I was getting and so forth, I finally realized that I had a choice. That I could make a choice when I got up in the morning to go to work or not. And as I started thinking about having that choice, I would literally get up in the morning and say, am I going to go to work or not? And I would give myself permission to say no if I didn't want to go, even though I knew it would maybe not lead to great things, but So as I was doing that, I started changing a little bit the things I saw at work. It's like, well, if I saw something I didn't like, I'd say, well, you know what, I didn't have to come to work today. So I came to work today, so I might as well, pay some attention here. So I started, noticing that. And as I did that, I started laughing a lot at little things that were happening. And some of my coworkers started to notice that there was a change. And they started questioning me, what are you doing different? There's something different about you. And so my coworkers started noticing it, and I'm sure I was much more pleasant to be around than I had been before. And so that joy went from me to the other people that I was working with. And that's a job that I have shared before here, that I really at the time didn't think my immediate coworkers, but people that were like in different departments in different parts of the place where I worked, I would talk to them and say hello, but I didn't really notice all that much that they knew who I was. When I took retirement a couple years later, and I went to when I went to the retirement, they got me a big picture of the place where we worked, and there were over 150 signatures on that photograph. And I had no idea that some of these people even knew I existed. And it was because of what changed in my mind when I knew that I had a choice and that I could choose joy, and that joy is powerful. It's powerful when it goes through, it's a spiritual principle, and it's good on any situation that we have, that we may find ourselves in. So we don't wait for the circumstances, we create it. So some of the things that we have to remember about joy is we must be poised and centered in the Christ mind to use this power. And that's what I was learning in that incident. I was learning how to poise in the Christ mind, what we refer to as the Christ mind, the divine, God, the great spirit, whatever lifts your spirit and helps you to make that connection. And so we can then make our work and play alike. We can be creative. We've talked about creativity, and it's not just drawing pictures or painting. Creative is creating the world that we live in when we realize we're always one with God, when we get to that point where we know that our humanity and our divinity is always with us, both of those things. And being centered in the Christ mind is another way. We can name our blessings and be grateful for them. We talk a lot here about gratitude, and that how gratitude opens us up to more gratitude, the law of increase again. Whatever we're focusing on, in gratitude, the more gratitude we express, the more we begin to become grateful for even the smallest things in our lives. And we learn to take nothing for granted. There are 3 chief things to remember about joy. If we want this power to live by, it is the cause and not the effect of good in our lives. It increases for us through use, because when we speak, think, and act with joy, there is no room for anything else in our lives. We can cultivate joy with material helps, like buying ourselves new clothes, wearing bright colors, having parties, whatever, buying a new car, whatever helps us increase our happiness. And serving others increases our happiness. Certainly when we can be out and helpful in the world, that increases our happiness. And we can turn our attention inward to that deep place within where joy lives. And we can give sincere thanks to God for all our blessings. And I think I have time. I want to quickly, because I know not all of you have the Daily Word. but it was possibilities this morning, but I'm going to end with the one for tomorrow. And so as we leave, maybe we can think of this as we go out, because it's just perfect. The affirmation is, God's joy is my joy forever. And I'm going to say what we say when we record this on the prayer line. Let these words be your words. Messages about the importance of being happy seem to be everywhere. But how can I be happy when personal challenges or worldly matters weigh me down? Remembering my spiritual identity, I do not despair when happiness seems beyond my reach. In those moments, I turn to joy. Happiness may be fleeting, but joy is divine, a part of God and a part of me. Joy is deep and unwavering, unaffected by what is happening in my life or in the world. I don't have to seek it. I need only to claim it. My joy is anchored in my faith that God is my source and my guide, always present in every situation, however difficult. I appreciate moments of happiness, but my steadfast joy in God sustains me. And from John 15:11, I have said these things to you so that my joy may be in you and that your joy may be complete. So I'm going to end with the affirmation, and as we leave today, I hope we can take that with us as we move through our week. God's joy is my joy forever. Thank you.